Hi, everybody, and welcome to Out There with Thomas Roberts. Every Wednesday we focus. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I like that. We focus on LGBTI stories with voices out there in the world making a difference. As always, we thank you for watching. And boy, do we have a jam-packed show for you planned this week. On tap today, a young, once homeless transgender woman who was featured in Laverne Cox's T-Word documentary is giving hope to the LGBT community, leading by example and starting her own business. Daniella is going to join me here to discuss her life, why she's launched a fundraising campaign to help her foundation get off the ground. And the executive director of New York City's LGBT Center will also be in studio in just a bit to discuss the 18-month, $19.2 million renovation, a facelift that the building has just completed, what it means for the community here in New York. Also joining me a bit later, we have a historic first. We have the Reverend Ann Cansfield, who was the first openly gay chaplain for New York City's fire department, and the St. Patrick's Day Parade. It's just a week away, and for the first time ever, an openly gay group can march in the parade. This marks the first time in its 254-year history that will happen. In full disclosure, the LGBT group marching in this parade is NBC's employee resource group out at NBC Universal, and we will have the executive vice president of the chief diversity officer here at NBC Universal, Craig Robinson, joining me. But first, I'm really excited about this. The lovely Miss Universe, the one and only Paulina Vega. Yes. Joins me now to discuss how she is raising awareness and funds to battle HIV/AIDS. Also, this is a big first for you because as Miss Universe, which we just crowned you at the end of January, how excited are you to talk about this platform and help break stigma globally of HIV/AIDS?
Well, when I was Miss Colombia, I had the opportunity to help different causes, but never HIV awareness, prevention, and education. And I'm really excited and looking forward to this year, just make a great team with different organizations, learn more about this subject, and just, help with my voice.
So you have been an overnight sensation, certainly from Colombia and now internationally as Miss Universe. What has this meant to your life, this change that happened at the end of January?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Not a big deal.
No big deal.
No, I just live in the capital of the world. I need to travel the whole world every week. No, I'm learning so much. This is a great experience. This is a dream that I had like many years ago, and I'm just having fun and try to do something important with this great platform for my country and just represent the women of today.
Certainly competition for women when it comes to Miss Universe, and certainly in your own country for Miss Colombia. We know that for these competitions, it's pretty fierce, it's pretty competitive. Yes. But we also know that in Latin America, at least a statistic from 2013, there were 1.6 million people living with HIV. So as a woman, and a powerful woman from Latin America, how do you think you can help break stigma and raise awareness about HIV/AIDS with this new sash?
Exactly. I think that there is a taboo when the women talk about sex and more a disease that is a cause sex and sexual relationships. Mm-hmm. And I think that I have a special connection because what you have said, there's a lot of Latin people, a lot of Latin women, and a lot of here in New York and in the USA that have this disease. So I think that, just like I said, raise my voice, use my voice to spread the message, to spread the important things about this issue, and tell to the whole world that the most important thing is to be educated and be careful.
Yeah, be educated, be careful, and most importantly, know your status. And
exactly.
People want to know what their status is, and it's easily testable here in the United States and also internationally. But a lot of people have said, instead of worrying about being susceptible to HIV/AIDS, there's one way to not risk it, and that's celibacy. We've recently had the actor Alan Cumming, who spoke out and put together a really interesting video, a new ad, what he's calling the Celibacy Challenge, and it's very tongue-in-cheek. Take a look.
Hello, America. I'm Alan Cumming, head of the Department of Sexual Abstinence. Did you know that the FDA recently changed its policy that banned gay and bisexual men from giving blood for life? Now, if you're gay and you want to save lives, the FDA will let you. You just can't have sex for an entire year. That's right. 365 days of celibacy. Introducing the Celibacy Challenge. So let's get to it. Let's start saving some lives. And to help you abstain from any naughty temptation, here are some fully approved activities that are guaranteed to make your year without sex fly by. Take a pottery class.
Okay, we had to cut it there. It gets a little mature after that, the recommendations. But I want to bring in now my next guest, Anthony Hayes. He's the Managing Director of Public Affairs and Policy of GMHC, that is the Gay Men's Health Crisis. Anthony, it's great to have you here. So let's talk about the video that Alan shot. We showed the part that we could. It gets a little more mature.
Version, yes.
Correct. It gets a little bit more mature, so go check it out yourself online. But it was a tongue-in-cheek approach at talking about seriously. Do we really need to be celibate for a year before we can have our blood taken to be donated? But talk about the stigma that is still attached.
Sure. I think one of the things that that the video sort of addresses in a tongue-in-cheek kind of way is the reality that we're still responding to HIV like it's the early 1980s. Secretary Burwell and the FDA need to implement a risk-based policy based on people's actual risk for HIV, not based on who they are, because we all know that you get HIV based on what you do, not who you are. Mm-hmm. So what we want to do is stop perpetuating this egregious stereotype where HIV and AIDS is a gay disease only. It's not. We've all, straight and gay, been living with HIV for over 30 years now. Well,
we've come a long way in certainly educating and advancing the conversation. Mm-hmm. How important is it to have someone like a Paulina Vega, who is Miss Universe, a straight ally, who is going to use her platform now to go around the world internationally to talk about HIV/AIDS awareness, and not just what it means to one community, but what it means to the human population?
It's critical. I mean, I think when we're actually meeting up later today to sort of discuss ways that she can get involved at GMHC and how we can help support her in what she's doing around the world. But it's critical because one of the greatest challenges around HIV and reducing the stigma around HIV is that we don't talk about HIV anymore. When was the last time you were sort of at a dinner party or out at a cocktail party where people were sort of having an educated conversation about HIV and AIDS? And it's been a very long time. So having people who are willing to speak out, willing to use a platform, and encouraging people to get educated and to get tested. You know, the HIV/AIDS test just turned 30 years old, and that test is incredibly powerful. Knowing your status will help you know what to do, whether you're negative or whether you're positive. It gives you a way forward.
Certainly within the LGBTI community, we've learned about the ratio of people that have had to turn to survival sex to actually get by. These are people that have either chosen to leave their homes on their own accord, or have decided that they or have been kicked out and had to turn to some very extreme alternatives to survive. Take a look at who we're going to be featuring coming up as our next guest, a youth advocate who speaks so eloquently about her own life as a homeless teen.
I continue to live in my truth and break barriers that I once considered unbreakable. I encourage you to build connections with the youth you work countless hours for. I understand you can't save all, but why not start somewhere? One is more than none. And so I say it as my closing remark. If you love me enough to give me this platform, let's make this unimaginable moment for youth across this country their reality. Thank you.
So let's make it a reality. Right there, we had youth advocate Daniella Carter speaking last month at the HRC Foundation's second annual Time to Thrive conference in Portland, Oregon. Daniella has worked with local, state, and national agencies to address LGBT homelessness, and she also appeared in the recent Logo documentary Laverne Cox's T-Word. And Daniella Carter, we have here on the set. It's so great to have you here, and what a powerful speech, that message that you sent to the HRC crowd in Portland. Talk about what it was like for you growing up and how you got from that young kid to Daniella that we see today.
Well, I think I'm still young, of course, right? But
that's okay, yes. You're still, compared to me, yes. Yeah.
I think for me, I just knew like education was the key, because in my home, I was facing tremendous amount of abuse, right? Physical, mental, emotional, not just based on gender identity. Right, because of the teachings of my home is that you have to be who you are, not only anatomically, but the way society perceives you, right? So if you're a person of color, don't add another layer of oppression. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I was going to school in like a really conservative town, Westchester, Hastings, and I guess I just knew, right, like to live authentically in my truth. I guess I'm like a risk taker because I opened the magazine, Marie St. Clair, and I seen Janet Mock. And I just told my best friend, I'm like, I'm gonna meet her. And I'm like, and I'm gonna change my life because I was 14 at the time and I was still living on the street, but I would go to school every single day because I had support like from some faculty. And I guess I just like redefined my role knowing that either this is how my life is gonna be, either I'm gonna be a survivor or I'm gonna be a victorious person, a victor, not a victim. LGBTQ Foundation, where we're offering services to empower and aim to uplift the families of transgender identified individuals. And so I'm working with my friend who's a scientist, Carissa. And what we did was we collaborated with someone in Germany and we started an initiative where talking about the American narrative, right? Because for so many times we look at intersections of identity and we don't realize how that plays a huge part into what the struggle looks like, right? Or survival looks like for you. And so for me, I think bringing awareness to these issues and bringing that visibility is finally putting a face to the struggle, right? Instead of just the data, the numbers.
And so how can people, if they are interested in supporting what you're trying to do for your foundation, how can they find out more about it?
Well, either they can like search me on the web, Daniella Carter, just like in a simple Google search, or you can go to GoFundMe, Daniella Carter. Yeah.
And there they can find out the work that you're doing. And do you think that this has given you the focus that you need to achieve what you want in your young life? I mean, again, you are young. You're only 20 years old.
Yeah, 20.
Yeah, that's young.
Some days I think it's just a privilege, right? Like I wake up and I just say to myself, like, you've been able to travel the world and travel this country and bring awareness and be an advocate. But I don't think the work will ever be done until I know that one of my friends, you know, someone who's close to me, no longer has to think about homelessness. When someone that I can also say is not only just a peer but can be an ally has to feel victimized when they're not supporting. So to me, I think I want to extend a hand and be able to say that if we all join together for many causes, we'll look at a revolutionary act towards the movement. Affirmative.
Well, you're a part of that movement. And congratulations to you, Daniella. It's so nice to meet you. Let's hear it for Daniella. Also for Anthony and Paulina. It's so great to have this couch filled with such valuable voices, so I thank you. We're also going to ask Daniella to stick around, and you stick around as well. You are watching Out There on Shift, and we're going to have much more coming up in a moment as we give you that exclusive tour of the new LGBT Center here in New York. Glenda Testona is the executive director of that facility, and she is going to explain how they were able to revamp this historic site here in New York and how they're looking straight ahead to the future. We're back.